Good morning. Excuse me. It doesn't matter how much tea I drink on my throat. It's still kind of hard to talk, but I'm going to get through this. So, again, good morning, everyone. And I'll try to keep this short. The heading is obvious. I am, first of all, making this video as the first of many videos where I will present evidence and court documents and other information that the court system and the police department has tried to suppress and or hide so that the story doesn't get out. Bottom line, my daughter was kidnapped by Clay County court system, namely Judge Alisha Ohara, I use that term loosely, and Commissioner SHERRILL PAIGE Roberts out in Liberty, Missouri. And I will try to summarize what happened just for the purposes of this video, because this is something that has been going on for almost 2 years now. I have not seen my daughter since November 29th, 2022. So as I stated before, I'm going to make a series of videos. But the purpose of this video is to start to get the information out and to definitely get it outside of Missouri and to try to get help. Missouri has a very crooked court system. The judges and the attorneys, they pretty much run themselves. They decide who gets into court, who does not get into court, who gets prosecuted, who does not get prosecuted. They vote on their own performance and, in essence, decides who becomes judge, who does not become judge. And they basically determine the trajectory of each other's careers. That's just how it works in Missouri. And if they do not want your case to be heard, then it won't be heard. And that is what is going on with me. As you can see from the picture that I have posted, I'm going to have a press conference also to discuss what's going on. Press conference is going to be next week. There's an email, abolish 7th Circuit FC at outlook.com, as well as a phone number. You can email and call for information. We are going to release that information next week, right before, the press conference, just for safety's sake. I have been threatened by the sheriff's department and other people who would like this information to stay a secret. For the past few years, I have been advocating for a lot of things in the community, but definitely pushing to get law enforcement to be more proactive in solving crimes against Black women and children. Once more information started to be revealed, and we found out the link between these women, definitely the court system, as well as how so many children are missing within the foster care system in Missouri, and how Missouri is actually number 4 on the list when it comes to human and sex trafficking in the United States. That's when things started to get hard. I'm not the only one who was targeted. And like I said, we will be revealing this information. as we go. Our lives have been placed in danger. Just this past Friday, Alisha Ohara had Deputy Sheriff Holloman call me and basically threatened me. Not basically, she did. And what Alisha also did was she had this sheriff to verbally give me court orders to no longer file any paperwork in Clay County, Missouri. She said that I needed to file the paperwork in Gallatin, Missouri, in the 43rd Circuit in order to have my case heard. Going back to what I said originally, how they kidnapped my daughter, it was a child custody case that the father of my daughter filed, and he is no better. He's trash. He's sitting back watching all of this happen. And honestly, to be fair, I don't know if he knows the extent of what he's gotten himself involved in, but he's soon to find out. Either way, my daughter and I are residents of Kansas. We've been residents of Kansas since 2020. And the law states that when it comes to child custody, the court of jurisdiction is the court where the child resided 6 months prior to the filing. The filing, which is not even what my ex asked for. And I'll be specific because this is not a pile on him. Like I said, this is not even what he asked for. And I'm not even sure that despite his own nefarious ways, I don't think he has any idea of what he's gotten himself involved in. I will show these court documents as well. This is just not going to be me talking. It's a lot because this is going back a few years. Either way, what my ex asked for was every other weekend with our daughter, but I maintained custody as well as she stayed in Kansas for school. I walked out of that courtroom without my child on November 29th, and they had the nerve for this guardian ad litem named Robert Gordon, who has uh, basically been, I don't want to say reprimanded because I don't think they did anything to him, but this case is public information. He puts false evidence in court and places people on the stand to lie for him. I will be presenting that as well. But this is a guardian ad litem that I've never met before. He never visited my home. He never met me or my child. But like I said, they had the nerve to give full custody of my daughter to her father, she never spent the night alone with him, and had the nerve to order me to supervise visitation. We're going to talk about that supervised visitation program as well. Because what Clay County does, they get grants for programs and start programs like the Transition Center, where they staff it with volunteers, but turn around and charge people to see their children. That's a totally different story. Either way, what these two women, these two evil wenches have done, my case belongs in Kansas. There's something called the UCCJEA, the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act, which governs how child custody cases are handled between states. And it basically says, along with what I said regarding the 6 months residency, it also says that the courts are supposed to talk. It is not anything that's assumed, and it's not discretionary. It's something that has to happen. It's supposed to happen before any court, any judge can decide to proceed with any kind of case. They have to first determine jurisdiction. Just putting it simply, especially in this case, subject matter jurisdiction. The subject has to match the court. And just to be simple, you can't take your bankruptcy case in front of a traffic court judge. That makes sense. Same difference, you can't go with your traffic ticket and be in front of the probate judge or for your divorce attorney, your divorce judge. Okay, that makes sense. Well, subject matter jurisdiction in this case, it belongs in Kansas in a nutshell. What Missouri did not do, they did not contact Kansas, still has not contacted Kansas. In an effort to cover up all of this and a lot of things in between, anything that I filed, anything that my attorneys filed, they created situations to where my attorneys had to withdraw. They have tried to pretty much just bilk me out of money. They have scheduled court dates and then cancel court dates without me knowing. Two of their clerks, Ohara and what is that, like, and Cheryl Roberts, their clerks are Tony DeGoosh and Michelle Kelso. I have them on recording as well. They would take my filings, my motions, and destroy them. And I only was able to record this because, as you can tell, or anyone who knows me knows, I'm persistent about everything that I do. And so they eventually got frustrated with me for calling about my child and finding out what's going on. Months of me filing things and I'm not having a court date, not getting any kind of response. Anyway, altering CaseNet and destroying paperwork, that's a federal offense. You're tampering with evidence. Needless to say, I have a federal lawsuit against Clay County for $10 million, and that is going to be increased. Just in putting this out initially, there are other families who have come forward about what they have gone through with these two women and other people in that court. And we are working on a class action lawsuit against them, and we have filed complaints with the OCDC and with the Bar Association. We've made complaints to the Department of Justice, and we're going to post these as well. We're going to post the complaint numbers. I personally have applied for a restraining order and filed police reports against Alisha Ohara. Definitely after Friday, after she had that sheriff lady to call me and threaten me with harassment, as well as to tell me that I have to drive over an hour and a half away to file my paperwork in a circuit where my case doesn't even sit, is absolutely ridiculous. So I knew better than that. And of course, I called the 43rd Circuit on yesterday, which of course I have recorded. I also called the Supreme Court on yesterday as well, just to verify, because the support, they govern when judges are appointed. Let me throw this caveat in there. I have Judge Atkins. He's appointed to my case now. He's the second judge who's been appointed to my case, simply because the Seventh Circuit has been disqualified from my case. They were disqualified because of everything that I just said: the fraud, the lies, destroying the paperwork, them not contacting Kansas, cover-ups, everything. The presiding judge there, Judge Fluke, got rid of the entire circuit. Okay. When that happens, they ask the Supreme Court for another judge, and that is what happened. Judge Atkins is the first judge. Judge Atkins is the second judge. The first judge, he retired December 31st, and I'll get to him later. Either way, Judge Atkins is playing the same games. There are motions that have been sitting on the docket for well over a year now. I called this man and put in notices of hearing, waiting on a court date, and he's saying that I can't have a court date until fees are paid. There are no fees. So at this point, being a year and a half into this, I said, okay, I'm not going to even argue because I know that there is nothing to argue about. But I asked, I said, okay, well, how much are the fees? And what are the fees for? Because even if you know what the fees for, you can look up online and find out um, this particular motion is you have to pay $100 to file this motion. So either way, at first I said, well, I was granted IFP status, so I don't have any fees to pay. But then after I asked that question, I've gotten crickets. I have not gotten any information. When I went to the courthouse, I was told to call the circuit clerk, the circuit clerk, head clerk. Her name is Christy Garcia. I was told to contact Lee Bucksafe because Christy was in court while the deputy clerk was in court. I have no idea. But I was told that they did not know how long she was going to be in court, and that's why I was given Lee's information. I emailed and called the both of them for days. I am calling, I am going back up there. Also, still calling Sandy Dustman, who is Judge Atkins' clerk in Gallatin, Missouri, which is Daviess County, 43rd Circuit. They are steadily telling me, well, you have to call um, the judges, clerks, and those people there. And that's what I did. And I, of course, email because I need a record because they lie. Everyone in that circuit, they lie about everything. So, and that is how we fast forward to the conversation that I had with this deputy sheriff, this off duty deputy sheriff that threatened me on Friday. So I told her, I said, well, you know what? After I got her straight about trying to manipulate the conversation and to put words in my mouth, because what she was not going to do was to create some sort of situation where I was threatening a judge. And I just had to break it down to Deputy Holloman and let her know that I was not that kind of stupid. She may have been to even engage in this foolishness with Alisha Ohara, but I am not. And she was not going to use anything that I said because I wrote in the email that I would see them and I will see them. And when I wrote that, I even backed it up with the voicemail that I left because I have 3 different court cases against them. And I have always said that. I will see you in court. I have always said that. So this lady called me and attempted to make it appear as though she couldn't even make it sound right. She couldn't even put the words together. Uh, but I knew where she was going, and I had to just stop her. And I said, "Well, you know what? Why don't you go ahead? If there's a warrant or something, then let me know. Because I've been trying to go to jail. I have been trying, and I know that sounds crazy. However, they will not give me a court date for anything. I have called child support. I have adamantly told them I'm not paying anything. There is not a world that exists where I would pay a child support dime for nothing that I birth. You've lost your mind. Not nothing that I have given birth to and taken care of. So put a warrant out for me and let's go to court. Because in order for you to have court about child support and or have court about harassment charges of me contacting this judge or whomever, we are also going to have to first have the conversation about why I'm contacting them. So let's go ahead and do it. So when you get that warrant together and anything else that you need to get together, please let me know because I'll turn myself in. That's probably the only way that I'm going to be able to get some kind of justice. They have contacted my clients, one in particular, and they are trying to lodge some other source of nonsense, which definitely has signaled something. This lady with the initials of AB, of course, who I know is heavy, heavy into some nefarious things down there near the border. And she lives in Texas. That's a totally different story. So I'm waiting on that as well. There is so much, so much, but I will get to the point. I have not seen my daughter since November 29th, 2022. I have not seen my child since November 29th, 2022, because of Alisha Ohara, attorney Robert Gordon, and Cheryl Paige Roberts. The Missouri court system is destructive. It is evil. It's tainted. And it is dangerous for Black women and children. I am only talking about Black women and children right now, but I'm going to tell you, I can't even call these people prejudiced because they're doing the same thing to white children and white mothers as well. They're doing the same thing to Indian mothers. They're doing the same thing to Indian children. They are doing the same thing to everyone for the sake of money, for the sake of position and status, and who else or what else, I don't know. There is just so much more to it that all will be revealed. Like I said, they manipulate CaseNet. What we all started doing was taking our, anytime that we would file court paperwork, we would have the clerks downstairs, which are different from their actual, the judge's clerks that sit upstairs with them in their chambers. But we would have things double stamped or triple stamped and also record whenever we go in there. So we have these documents, but they don't appear in CaseNet. And they manipulate CaseNet for whatever reason. And I pause because I'm going to get to that later as well. They not only manipulate CaseNet, but they manipulate transcripts as well. Ohara's court transcriptionist, her name is Janet Weimer. She has people in my transcripts that weren't even present in court talking with whole conversation that weren't even present, including my daughter's father. He was not there. He was not there. Missouri courts have been protecting him. He has not stepped foot in a courtroom with me since the day that he left with my child. And he's been avoiding that because of the domestic battery charge against him that they know about. But they have him in court at the motion for new hearing that was in March, for new trial that was in March. We'll get to that in another video as well. Right now, what I am asking is that one, look over the press release. It has more information. If you have been harmed or you have any information that would be helpful to aid in the prosecution of Ohara and Roberts or any of the other judges in this circuit, then let me know. Let us know. We are gathering more information. We find out more and more information as the days go by. And when I tell y'all how ridiculous it is out there and how dangerous these women are, it's it's a lot. It's a lot. At this point, it is almost 2 years since I've seen my child, and I don't know if I ever will again. They take paperwork, and if they don't want you to have a court date, then you won't have a court date. You will not see a judge. You will not be able to file anything against them. You will not see any kind of justice to get it reversed or turned around. I have even contacted the courts over in Wyandotte County, and that DA's office is no better. It is so easy to see how Golubsky was able to abuse and rape and do what he did to Black women over there as well. So I can't say honestly that that court system, that Clay County and Wyandotte is any better. Not with the family court, because they're not. And these are with people that I know and with people that know me. Politicians, judges, pastors, pretending to be pastors. All of these people are out for one thing, and that's status. None of them do the right thing unless a TV camera is in their face. So, if attention is what they want, then attention is what they get. Even if it's just that you share this or any of these videos to whomever, CNN, Roland Martin, Crump, Lee Merritt, everyone, your local legislators. I've contacted some of them as well. Governor Parsons, like I put in the press release, you commuted the sentence of a man who almost unalived a young child. Thankfully, she survived and she's with her family and she's being cared for physically anyway. You also put the man in office, the AG, who continues to traumatize a family by defending a convicted murderer and dirty cop. If you can get behind that, and you're the one who put Alisha Ohara in office, you can certainly make a phone call and make that evil woman do what she's supposed to do. They need to release jurisdiction and get my case out of Missouri. It's not even supposed to be over there. And this is a charge. Jurisdiction is something that is non negotiable. The courts have to talk. It is not discretionary. They are purposely choosing to do this because her seat is up December 31st. And she is just upset because I pulled her card and I let her know that even when I did reach out to her before any of this got to the point that it is right now, and tried to also help another family that is linked to child pornography. Didn't know this at the time, but she's linked to them. Now I know why she didn't help. Now I know why her face is always in the forefront of cases where women are being raped or being human trafficked or being abused in some sort of way. It's sick, and it's like she gets off on it. But as soon as I mention that, Ohara gets activated. And the three cases that I do have in court that have not been filed, that weren't filed in any time or within close proximity of each other. One within a few hours was denied, partially denied. It hadn't even started. The very next day, the Kansas Supreme Court, the state where I live, they denied me on the basis of something that I didn't even ask for. I asked them to have Kansas judges to call Missouri judges just to have the jurisdiction conversation because that would put an end to all of this. Their denial said that they cannot tell Missouri judges what to do. Well, that's not even what I asked you. Or that might be in there, but it's just interesting that you skipped over the part of what you can do. But either way, that happened the day after. Mind you, a couple of hours, um, Alisha Ohara got the Missouri Court of Appeals activated. The very next day, she got the Kansas Supreme Court activated, again, denying me for something that I didn't even ask for. And then the day after that, she got the judge where I have where she's the magistrate judge that I, a few months ago, asked to be dismissed from this case. Because when I researched her, I noticed that she clerked for another judge by the name of Ohara. Now, I don't know if there's any relation, but what I do know is that if there is, if I'm already having an issue with one bad actor named Ohara, I don't in any way want a judge who trained up under another judge by the name of Ohara. But this lady goes and she writes her recommendations because she is a magistrate. And she recommends that this case is transferred to Missouri. My $10 million lawsuit is transferred to Missouri because of jurisdiction issues. You know how ridiculous that sounds? The very thing that I'm fighting for, the fact that Missouri does not have jurisdiction, the fact that they have trampled over my rights, and the fact that they have kidnapped my child. And she also put in there that my case does have merit. Which means that now that my case, if it does, which is not, because I'm going to completely fight that. But anyway, I have the case law, and I'm going to make it public. So it shouldn't be transferred. But the point of all that was to say that right in tandem, cases that I have called to check up on, and I was told that it's going to be months before I hear anything, and that I'm just going to have to sit tight. But then day after day, right after I tell Ohara, I know what you've done, and you're ridiculous and you belong in jail with evidence because I've given her every opportunity to get it right. I've never gone public about any of this. Never. I've only said it to her. And I'm going to keep saying it. And that's what I told them. And so when I did this, and then she figured that I was not going to be moved by the court, because even in my response to the courts, I let them know that it is just mighty interesting that you told me that I was not going to hear anything from you. Then all of a sudden, O'Hara gets nervous, or she just might be evil. Well, she is evil, but I can't say that she got nervous. But then all of a sudden, because you all could at least try to spread it out and not be so obvious that you get activated. Then after that, she decides to have this deputy sheriff to threaten me and have my life in danger. And I'll put a link on here to the page where you will see where the first time that happened. The other interesting piece before I end this is that Kansas has already accepted jurisdiction. I already have custody of my child back. But guess what? Clay County Sheriff's Office, they do what they want to. They first refused to serve the restraining order just because they don't want to. They refuse to acknowledge the order from Kansas just because they don't want to. Seriously, just because they don't want to. But you have this judge over in federal court in Kansas that wants to send this case back over to Missouri. She needs to go work in Missouri because she's not for anybody in Kansas. She's not. And actually, I need to do a complaint against her today. But either way, I am going to get started on these videos. I'm going to start releasing them. Please email me, and we are going to make this as public as we can. If you are an attorney and you have the courage or the resources to help, if you know of anyone in media who can get this story out, or even if you yourself can just like it so we can move through the algorithm, share it on any platform, get any other social media influencers to share it. Email me your stories. You can remain anonymous. That's fine. I'm not remaining anonymous because I don't have anything to hide. I want people to know. I want people to know. You will know everything at the press conference. I am just concerned about safety at this point. But as soon as the press conference is announced, those who feel comfortable having their face shown, then it will be shown. But people who are aware of this, they know who I am. This case is not, it's no secret over in Missouri, especially to the Missouri judiciary. It's no secret who I am to the family court system in Wyandotte County. So trust me, nobody is doing anything under the cloak of anonymity. Certainly not me, because I am going to be loud, very loud, and vocal in ways that they wish that they would have killed me back in January when they tried. So, with that being said, I hope that you would share this and send it out. And I look forward to any help that you can bring so that not only myself, but these other families can be helped and we can finally put these bad actors and these characters like Ohara and Robert Gordon and Sheriff Paige Roberts in federal prison right along with Gillespie. You'll hear from me soon.